Hello, my name is Carrie Walker with NATE. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, Solve the Accountant Shortage, Seek Out International MS Accounting STEM grads with a 3-year OPT. It is my pleasure to introduce Varun Jain, Chief Executive Officer for Miles Education. Go ahead and take it away, Varun.
Thank you so much. A very good afternoon and welcome to everyone on this session where we're talking about the accountant shortage and one of the unique solutions to the accountant shortage that we have in the US today. And today on the session I'm joined by Brock Stroder from Case Western Reserve University. Hi Brock, welcome to the session.
Hello, Varun. Good to see you. Thank you.
And we also have Lindsay Seipels from, who's a campus recruiting manager at RSM. Lindsay, thank you for taking our time today.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here today.
So, I'm going to quickly run through a few slides and then, of course, open it up to Brock and Lindsay, in terms of setting the context and talking about the case at Case Western Reserve University, where we have, a very, very exciting pool of international candidates who are pursuing and have completed masters in accounting, with STEM and are eligible for 3-year OPT. And of course, Lindsay has recruited quite a lot of them. So, she'll talk about her experience with those candidates. So just a quick overview on Miles Education and the entire model. And of course, over the course of the session, towards the end, we'd be happy to take, any questions that you guys have. So this is about Miles. We are India's #1 CPA review. More than 80% of CPAs in India are Miles alumni. We work with, all the public accounting firms, Fortune 500 companies in India. And, we've played an instrumental role in powering the finance and accounting ecosystem, in India. We work with more than 200, corporates. We work with more than 70 universities across India. And now, of course, we're looking at this amazing talent pool that we have in India, on the front offices across the US. In this endeavor, we are now working with more than 12 universities. And of course, we are really excited about, partnering with, both the public accounting firms as well as the industry. And I think, just setting the context here, right? And again, you guys are the best judge, but, what we see is a lot of firms, facing an accountant shortage in the US. The Washington Post went all out when they said the accountant shortage threatens capitalism's future. A survey report from Deloitte talking about more than 80% recruiters expecting to experience recruiting difficulties. And in this context of shortage of accountants, just sort of talking about STEM. So STEM, for those who are not aware, stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Maths. And there are many international students, from India, from around the world, who do masters in computer science, masters in business analytics from US universities, and all of these are STEM designated programs eligible for the 3-year OPT optional practical training on their F1 visa. However, that privilege is not typically there for masters in accounting, which is non-STEM, and there's only a 1-year OPT. And and that is where we have a few universities who are working on the masters in accounting program, integrating business analytics into those programs, so that these programs are now STEM certified, such that international accounting graduates who pursue these programs are also eligible for the 3-year STEM OPT instead of just 1 year. This is the CPA talent pool that we have from India. So as Miles, as I said, we are India's largest CPA review, and a lot of our CPAs and CPA candidates from India, are pursuing this opportunity at, more than a dozen universities across the US. For fall 2023, we're expecting a total cohort of more than 525 candidates from India at top universities, including Case Western Reserve, Michigan State, Rutgers, DePaul, RIT, Delaware, Drexel, NSU Florida, and a few more. This is a pretty sizable pool of accountants. And of course, with every term, we want to scale this number. We're looking at more than a 4-digit talent pool for 2024, but that's a number for 2023, given that a lot of the universities are still in process in terms of converting their Masters of Accounting into STEM. Now, for this cohort of about 500 candidates, for fall of 2023, these are the timelines. These guys are going to be starting their Masters in Accounting this fall, which is August of this year. And of course, they're going to be available to be recruited and hired, starting June until September. So though the program starts in August, they are doing a bridge course program in India, starting June, and they're available for meet and greets. Interview rounds could happen while they're there in the US. And of course, we're expecting, all of these candidates to receive offer letters, join companies by September this year. They would graduate next summer in the May of 2024. And this is a very good talent pool which is available. And of course, as I said, this is just a starting point. We did a pilot last year. We're scaling this up to about 500 candidates this year, and we're looking at a few thousand candidates in the years to come. Now, how is this proposal a game changer, for the employers, including public accounting firms, as well as the industry? So this is an opportunity for you to have an increased pool of CPAs and CPA candidates. And again, these, unlike typical candidates that you would recruit from campus, right? So most Masters in Accounting candidates that you would recruit from campus would be fresh grads, maybe CPA eligible, but not really having a lot of work experience. But there's a difference here, and I'm going to show you the case study, for fall of 2022, where we had the pool with an average experience of 5.7 years. Before they pursued their masters. And again, a lot of these candidates have worked in India. A lot of the US-India offices, the shared services, the global capability centers of the big 4 public accounting firms of Fortune 500 companies in India. And they're aware of US accounting. A lot of them have worked in US audit. A lot of them have done US tax returns, including the 1040s and the 1120s. And the best part is, right, that these guys are doing the Masters in Accounting, which is STEM designated. This allows them to learn technology and analytics. And this is very important, right? And I'm a CPA, and being an accountant myself, I know that a lot of accounting students sort of have this, this gap with technology. We're very good with Excel and the world of Excel, pivot tables and all of that. But then when you talk about, Power BI or Tableau or maybe Python or R or SAS, that's where, a lot of accountants tend to get a little scared. And I think the Masters in Accounting with analytics really gets them skilled in technology and analytics. They know how to leverage data analytics across the finance and accounting value chain. Now, these are candidates on OPT. There's a higher stickiness that we've seen, reduced attrition rates. The cost, again, we've seen firms, of course, offering more than the prevailing wage. But again, there are no regulations around wage benchmarks. And an amazing part is there are no FICA taxes, which leads to 7.65% savings for the employer and another 7.65 savings for the employee. And there are no visa formalities. These are guys who already have their F1 visas. And on their F1, because it's a STEM program, they're allowed a total of 36 months of employment. It's called OPT, optional practical training. Now, understanding OPT for STEM, something, and this is new for accounting, right? A lot of tech firms, a lot of techies have been hired, and this is tens of thousands of techies every year are hired on OPT by a lot of tech firms, a lot of product firms. And, this is very, very common in the sciences and technology space. But accountants on OPT is new. because you never had accountants internationally coming into the US. And again, as I said, the traditional masters in accounting was non-STEM. So there was only a 1 year work or 1 year OPT, and which was not exciting for anyone, not exciting for the candidates to invest in the masters, not exciting for the employers because it's only a 1 year OPT. But now that we're getting masters of accounting into STEM, that's a huge opportunity both for employers to onboard these candidates for the next 3 years. And of course, for the candidates, because this allows them a very, very strong runway for OPT. Now, as far as the process goes, as you can see on the slide, it's typically the students and the university which is doing all the formalities, right? So there's a designated school officer, at each of the universities who's taking care of the formalities. There's some filing that the students and the university do. The employer responsibility, is typically around, having a formal training program in place. And of course, we're working with employers, and some of them we're structuring in terms of putting together this training program. Most of the employers already have it. So this is not a big deal, right? It's just a very, very small extra process. This is not as much of it's not like a visa sponsorship or anything. It's just about, a small process in terms of getting OPT folks in place. Now, as you work closely with universities, again, there are a lot of other opportunities like co-op programs, having university students on a CPT. And this could be interesting for firms which need temp staff or interns, especially during the busy season. Could be an audit busy season, tax busy season, year-end close, and so on and so forth. Now, from a Miles perspective, we can help you, recruit talent in your US office. Again, on your payroll, as contractual employees, we have, a full-blown entity there, which can hire employees and, have us, deploy them as contractors to you. We also, have a huge presence in India, and if you have an office in India, we can, help you recruit talent in India for these offices. Rather, even if you look at the OPT candidates, those who are there on the 3-year OPT, after the 3 years, of course, option number one is, the firm sponsors, the company sponsors H1s for them, and they stay back, for the few years during the H1B. Or if the H1B doesn't come through, or it's not happening, these candidates can come back and work, with your office in India, with your GCC in India if you already have one. If not, Miles could work with you and help you build, operate, transfer a global capability center. Now, I'm going to quickly move on and talk about a quick case study with Case Western Reserve, and this is a pilot that we did last year in fall of 2022, where we had 27 candidates at Case. We've got Brock from Case Western. He'll talk in detail about his experience, and Lindsay has been recruiting a lot of these candidates, and she could talk. But overall, if you look at the profile of the candidates, and of course we have detailed profiles in the coming slides, there were a total of 27 candidates, 27 CPA candidates with an average of 5.7 years of experience. More than 90%, had either completed or pursuing a public accounting qualification. More than 80%, having public accounting experience, right? So these are experienced accountants, from India, ready to be hired, at your firms. And again, this is a pool that we started with last year. And as I said, this year, the pool is going to be more than, 500 folks, and it's going to be like a few thousands in the years to come. So again, not really going through a lot of detail, but if you were to look at these slides, let's say on this slide, you have, candidates with experience ranges right from 3.5 years to 9.5 years. You have, again, 4 years to 7.7 years. And if you look at profiles, right, if you look at the last line, it says ex-Shell, ex-KPMG, ex-EY. So again, these are folks who have worked with Big Fours, with multinationals, with large public accounting firms in India, and are now, in the US, completed their masters or completing their masters and available for the 3-year OPT because their masters, their accounting masters, is now STEM. Again, similar profiles that you'd see here, ex-PwC, ex-Amazon, ex-Deloitte, again, 4 years to 6 years. And again, this is a real amazing pool. And of course, you're going to have hundreds and thousands of these accountants available in the coming years. So I'm going to quickly pass it over to Brock now to talk about his experience with these candidates. So guys, Brock is the director of recruitment at Case Western, and he's been really instrumental in setting this up. And over to you, Brock.
Thanks, Varun, and hello everyone. It's great to see you on here, and thanks for joining this webinar. And it's a real pleasure for me to be here and just talk about my experience in working with Miles Education, specifically to meet some of the needs that we are seeing with the employers. We have a vast alumni network and many different employer partners that we work with. And as we attempt to solve, the accountancy roles that need to be filled in various types of industries, as well as training or getting individuals prepared for that public accounting route and pursuing their CPA. We were really intrigued. I was intrigued when Miles Education reached out to me, and we began a conversation about utilizing the STEM designation that our Master of Accountancy has. Case Western Reserve University has been utilizing the STEM designation or the STEM programs that we have that allow students to remain on their F1 student visa, but work for up to 3 years here in the United States. That's very popular, as Varun said, in computer science, physics, engineering, which are all very strong, large programs here at Case Western Reserve University. I work in the Weatherhead School of Management, and the STEM designation on our programs came around. They started really a little more than a decade ago. And about 8 years ago, all of our what we call specialized master's programs, those tend to be like 2-semester, 3-semester programs that many students will complete right out of undergraduate. So you can consider them like a 4+1. We know that in the accounting world, especially for accounting undergraduates, with the CPA regulations as they are, many universities have modified their undergraduate educational offerings to qualify the students upon their graduation to sit for CPA exams. Our Master of Accountancy program has oftentimes served as that vehicle to allow an undergrad student to pursue the additional credit hours needed to sit for the CPA. Now, our Master of Accountancy is not a CPA training master's degree, but it is a master's degree that does fulfill those requirements. And so we have our non-CPA students, but we also have our CPA students. And increasingly, what we have seen is the employers demand those skills in analytics. And that is what we have a strong history with here through our operations research faculty. And as they begin to introduce coursework in analytics that our accountancy students could begin to incorporate into the curriculum, that allowed us to move our Master of Accountancy program with these select analytics courses into the STEM designation. And so I'm giving you a little history here because then as we move forward into what we've experienced the last couple of years with Miles Education is that we see increasingly so that the need for highly qualified CPA route or CPA approved students, that can become quickly hired and filling roles that are necessary in many either accounting departments or in CPA firms. We just saw the need that we needed to grow the Master of Accountancy program in order to take in more international students, as our domestic students, again, many of them were coming out of undergraduate sufficiently prepared. And so how do we utilize the Master of Accountancy program to still meet those needs that employers have? And so that's where we began to look and tried to identify good international partners. And quickly, Miles attracted our attention, one, because the students. Miles Education, it's not a recruiting agency. They're not just in India trying to recruit students for Case Western Reserve University. Rather, Miles is an education partner for us because they do their own education. They have their own alumni base that we can draw upon with them in order to fill seats in our program with individuals who have work experience, bring in some chartered accountancy background, and then that combination equips them to succeed in our Master of Accountancy program and quickly find jobs. Of the batch that we have coming through right now, those 27 students that ended up here, many of them are on either a 2 or 3 semester track. Those that are on the 2 semester kind of pathway, and again, that's just how they structure their courses. Those that are graduating this May, 9 of them already, and about half of the students are graduating in May. 9 of them already have job offers, in fact, have multiple job offers. And so we're real excited to see that nearly 100% of them at this point are employed. And more than likely, the remaining will be getting, because we know they're interviewing right now, will be gaining those job offers. And so this is an opportunity we see to work with employers who, again, have not historically used that STEM OPT extension for the F1 visa in order to have employees who can fill roles for up to 3 years, but then also afford you the opportunity to have employees you can either keep on and sponsor on an H-1B visa, or as Varun mentioned, give you an opportunity to move those move those employees now into your operations in India. The students, our faculty have been thoroughly impressed with the students that have come from Miles, again, because they have some good work experience. Many of them even have some of their own master's work or even degrees attained in India. And so they come fairly seasoned and knowledgeable. And so we're excited to see how they've adapted. Many of them, their first time in the United States and in graduate education in the United States, but they've quickly adapted and have really impressed us with their skills, knowledge, and their abilities. And so I really feel this is an innovative way for accounting firms, accounting departments in various industries to try and fill some of those audit roles, tax roles, some of those entry-level roles that may have, a bit more turnover. These are opportunities for you to get some highly trained, highly qualified individuals who are able to quickly hit the ground running with the roles that you're putting them into. And so we're excited to see the employers really quickly snatching up our students. And as Varun said, we started with a batch of about 27, but we're doubling that number this next year. We can't take much more, and that's why other universities have joined on board. We just don't have the classroom space nor the faculty to teach the demand that's there. And so we're excited for this opportunity to move forward. And again, I encourage any of you who are out there listening and wanting to talk with a university about this opportunity to take advantage and build a pipeline of employees, new employees coming in. Again, because of that 3 years, it needs to be an ongoing effort annually, recruiting people to fill those roles as that, the first batch, their 3 years expire, you'll need to be replacing them. And so how can we work with you and collaborate with you in order to fill those roles that you have? And so great partners like Lindsay at RSM, and we also have a local Ernst & Young and Deloitte operations here that are scooping up our students. And so great partners like Lindsay, have been critical in partnering with kind of a 3-way partnership here between Miles Education, Case Western Reserve, and our industry partners like RSM. So with that, I'll pause there, Varun, and we can move on. And I know Lindsay has a great perspective as well to give you all about her experiences with our students. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Brock. Lindsay, over to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, Lindsay is a campus recruiting manager at RSM, and of course, she's been one of the champions in recruiting these international candidates, for the 3-year OPT. And I think Lindsay has done a lot of work within the firm to get this up and running. So, over to you, Lindsay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Varun. Super excited to be here today. And just kind of now, Brock really talked about getting the students into the university, what their career path and curriculum looks like. And now let's kind of talk about what we had to do as a firm in order to move forward with these amazing candidates. So I'll kind of take you through the process from how we started all the way to where we're at today. Similar to Brock, Varun reached out to us and told us about this amazing opportunity to partner with Miles Education and these students who are attending Case Western and what they're looking for in the experience that they have, right? And the phrase I feel like we've heard over and over again as we started these conversations was, "This is too good to be true. There's no way that this is as good as it is." But I mean, so far everything has been exactly as Varun lined out for us, and we are very excited as we continue through this process. So first off, I know Varun talked a little bit about that CPT versus OPT. So that was probably our biggest start for us. Was we've never historically hired at the entry level at RSM any candidates who require that sponsorship. And so it was educating ourselves on the process, educating ourselves on what the differences are between, that CPT, so students who are actively enrolled, internships, part-time, contractors, that sort of thing, versus that OPT and what that means for after graduation. So it was then learning that, the 12 months they get with OPT versus the 3 years with this STEM ability that they have now with the Case Western Master's program. So in order to do that, what we did was we sat down with our global immigrations team just to understand those sponsorships and what that means for us in terms of our timeline. What are some of those questions we are or are not allowed to answer? Anyone who is sitting on the line right now who works for a public accounting firm, we know that there are those very sensitive questions that we are not supposed to ask when talking to candidates versus the ones that are still acceptable, right? So for example, when does your H-1B expire? Are you eligible for an extension? All those are absolutely okay to ask. And to be completely honest with you, as we were starting to have conversations with these students, they were expecting it. They were volunteering this information. They know that we are going through this sponsorship journey with them. So connecting with our global immigration team to really understand what those requirements are and what we are able to do. As Varun mentioned, there is a ton of experience for all of these candidates. So what does that mean for us? Since we've never hired at that entry level with that sponsorship, do they still count technically as an entry level hire, or are they an experienced hire? And great news, they are considered an experienced hire at the entry level for us because of their status with immigration, as well as just their education right now here in the US. So we were still able to kind of, I guess, thread the needle, if you will, so that we didn't necessarily have to say, no, we can't hire candidates at the entry level for that require sponsorship. And we were able to say, well, they technically have some experience, but we would like to start them out at that level first. And they said, that sounds great. So we worked with our experienced recruiting team really to understand what that means when we're having conversations, making offers. What does it mean for our application process, right? What are these items or these hurdles that we'd have to get over to make sure students are able to apply and interview and be considered without, sometimes our system will have those questions that will knock out an application. We wanted to make sure that didn't happen. So really understanding from the experienced recruiting side what we can do and how to handle that process. After that, we worked with our line of business leaders, right? So now we know the process, we know the how. So now the question is, can we? So we met with our leaders, national line of business leaders for our audit and tax practices, and really just wanted to outline this program. What is Miles Education? What does this mean for us? And also while addressing, that accounting enrollment shortage that we are seeing with US-based candidates, right? Varun mentioned attrition rates, natural rates that happen in the first 1 to 5 years of any type of employee. How can we account for that? How can we make sure we're filling those needs with experienced professionals? And, our line of business leaders were like, absolutely, let's go. Let's try this out, see what happens. So once we got all of these approvals, what we did was we were able to start that process with the candidates themselves. So working with Miles Education, we received all the resumes for the 27 candidates who are in this program with Case Western, able to take a look at them, understand, what their experience was, what their path to graduation was, and we began the outreach to students individually, right? We kind of had to go through all that firm information, understanding our process. Well, now we're moving to kind of what we were doing with the candidates. So reached out, let them know, we are looking very specifically for audit and tax, since that is where our needs lie. If you think about what we're looking for accounting students, Those are the hardest positions for us to fill right now. So we followed up with all 27, and a recruiter reached out to schedule a video interview, truly just a screening process, understanding location preferences. We have offices all over the country. Where are they most interested in being full-time? That is very important because we have the opportunities, but we want to also match our opportunities with the desires and the needs of our candidates, right? And in this process, we learned, family, friends, whatever it might be, who are living in other areas outside of Cleveland. And, so we were able to connect them with our teams outside of necessarily the Ohio market. We asked them their line of business preference, audit and taxes where we're at. So what based off of your studies or your experience would you most prefer to start your career here in the US? When we were asking these questions, we sent helpful links to our website so that they could look at our different locations, look at our audit practice, tax practice, and see, what were the differences and where did they feel like they would be most impactful. We also asked them about when they would be completing that program at Case Western, right? Brock mentioned some of them are, May for that 2 semesters, some of them are 3 semesters, so they're not graduating technically from the program until December of 2023. So really just needing to understand that piece. Obviously for us, for our start dates, to make sure we can get them into those trainings that Varun mentioned, but also it is very important for students who require sponsorship to start within 2 months of graduation, just due to OPT rules, and really making sure that we have a plan in place so that they can come on board without having that gap in their sponsorship. So really just trying to understand all that. And then finally, we really reached out to understand, that they still had all of their OPT extension. They still had the full 3 years, because that is going to be the best situation for them. That will be the best situation for us. And so we really just kind of wanted to make sure that we lined up there in terms of the OPT STEM extension with the full 3 years. Once we had all this data, we compiled it all together. We sat down and we said, okay, of the 27 candidates we spoke to, there are 17 that we wish to move forward with our audit and tax line of business interviewing. So there were 17 candidates across 11 offices in the US. And we really started to now have those conversations locally with our leadership teams for line of business. So audit and tax leaders saying, outlining what this program was, how this is going to help us. We talked about the growth projection and what this could mean. Brock mentioned we have to kind of think of this as a cycle, right? In order to make sure that we are replacing anybody that we might be losing. So really having those conversations with them so they understood our goals here with this program. So those 11 offices, we reached out to regional line of business leaders, local line of business leaders, local recruiters, and just really introduced them virtually to this program. And that we had qualified, screened candidates who are interested not only in their practice, but in their office location. So from there, it's just as easy as any other US-based candidate interview process, connecting with market recruiters, scheduling interviews. We do all of our interviewing right now virtually. So setting up those virtual interviews, creating our offers. There's no change in the process for our offer letters as there would be for any other candidate. So our recruiters in the local markets were really able to just execute as they do in their day-to-day. And it wasn't like we had to do any very special training for them in order to move these candidates through the process, which is awesome to hear. Once offers are verbally or written extended, then it's just making sure we're having the right conversations with our candidates, right? So we mentioned RSM, we are not guaranteeing that sponsorship to work in the US on a permanent basis. This opportunity through Miles Education, it's a 3-year work opportunity in the US with that extended OPT, and it's very specific to their coursework, right? What they're doing at Case Western. And there is that potential for sponsorship. So we wanted to make that clear. It's not a guarantee, but that potential is there through that 3 years, because we understand how competitive the lottery is in terms of getting that sponsorship. So our people will get these candidates into the offices, and based off of performance, market conditions, staffing needs, everything like that, that's where we'll say, okay, I know it's only been 6 months, but you're doing so well, you're doing so great. We're going to start this process now to make sure we have as many lottery opportunities as possible, right? So we're very cognizant of that. But however, if these candidates would like to go back home, go back to India, we have that opportunity to connect them with it's with our RSM India or with our, what we call, it's US India. It is owned by RSM US. It is US work that is happening in India. So I think, Varun, you mentioned like a GCC. Very, very similar. But by entering that type of role, if that's of interest, you're instantly going to be there at that supervisor or manager level. So you kind of have already gotten that associate, that senior associate experience, and you're able to go straight into a supervisory role. So just really exciting for us to be able to offer, kind of 3 different paths based off of how everything goes during those 3 years. At this time, based off of those, I said those 17 candidates across 11 offices, we currently have 5 offers that are still extended. We've already gotten 3 acceptances, and we are still working. We have about 8 candidates who are still in the process, whether they are interviewing actively, scheduling their interviews this week, whatever it might be. So really starting to see kind of the fruits of our labor in the sense of that return on our investment here with Miles. So now what we're starting to do is that follow-up. What are our next steps? As we're thinking, Varun's talking about this growth, right? Over 500 students over the next year. This is huge. This is amazing. And we absolutely want to get involved and stay involved and be able to duplicate this process on a higher scale. So some things that we're thinking about are these opportunities for growth. We are working hand in hand with Miles Education to understand how much earlier we need to start this process, making sure we're getting in front of students potentially before they even come to the US for their program, right? So that they understand what we are looking for, we understand their needs, and we can kind of start having those conversations should anything start to change early on. We're giving feedback on, preparedness of candidates. We're talking through how can we make sure we're setting these students up for success as they are going through this. As much as I am here for the firm, I represent the firm, RSM is my job and I love it, but I want to be an advocate for those candidates. So really making sure that they are going through this process to the best of their ability in order to put their best foot forward for our professionals. And then finally, as I'm sure you can imagine, we're talking about this already as our internal growth. Recruiters' responsibilities have changed significantly. I mean, I've been in this industry for 11 years, and it's no year is ever the same, right? And I feel like all the time recruiters are getting more responsibilities, whether changing in hiring goals, changes of universities that we're recruiting for, new long-term plans in terms of candidate care as we're working through all of the hiring we do throughout the year. So how can we make sure that this program is going to truly be a value add for our recruiters and the work that they do and our business as it grows without necessarily feeling like it is an additional lift on our team? So we're already starting to have those conversations on how our recruiting team might have to change as the growth of this program changes and the investments that we've put in. So some really exciting conversations that have already started, and we are just really looking forward to what's going to happen as we wrap up this recruiting cycle with these first 27 candidates. I know, like I mentioned, we still have 8 who are in the process. So really hoping we're going to have some good news as to what those conversions are going to look like.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. I think this was really, really nice, and love the way you put the entire process together, and you made it sound really, really simple. So guys, I think we open up for questions now. So any questions that you guys have, you can put that on the chat. Brock, Lindsay, and of course I'm right here, and we could talk about this entire opportunity. This is really unique. This is new. This is not something that you would have heard, in accounting, and I'm sure this is going to go a long way, as we try to solve the accountant shortage in the US. So and meanwhile, I had some questions for you, Brock and Lindsay. So Brock, I think the first question is around how do you really prepare your candidates, and we have a few people from career services on the session. So how do you really prepare your candidates in terms of getting ready for interviews with employers? And a lot of interviews test behavioral skills. So what's been your experience and your feedback, and how do you deal with the cross-cultural divide that you see with international candidates?
Yeah, that's a great question, Varun. And that's we do have a pretty extensive and significant career development and career management professionals that are working with all of our graduate students. And then specifically what we did and what we implemented for the students coming from Miles Education is even before they arrived, we began doing some advising, career advising, partnering between our program and professionals, accounting professionals at Miles, who began to work with the students in a series of advising sessions that we articulated in order for them to help prepare the students as they come. Simple things like, for instance, we have a resume template that is sort of an industry acceptable template for a resume. And so we sent that resume template and instructions to our Miles partner in India to advise the students on how to transfer their resume into the resume that is more commonly viewed, a template or a structure for a resume that's more familiar to individuals like Lindsay, who are looking at resumes. So simple things like that we began to do in order to help prepare the students. Obviously, social networking is critically important. So another thing we do is we have a process of advising students on how to create LinkedIn profiles, professional LinkedIn profiles. Not all LinkedIn profiles are professional that we see. And so again, it seems simple to us, but it is something that we want to make sure that all of our students, and especially students who are entering into the US culture and the US marketplace, that they are presenting a portfolio or a profile that is easily readable and recognizable to those who are doing the hiring in the various firms. So those are a number of things that we've done, again, prior to their arrival, but also when they arrive, we have networking events with our alumni, mentoring opportunities where they can work with our alumni as professional mentors. We also take our students to visit a number of different companies to showcase to them the opportunities, the employment opportunities available to them as they are seeking employment. And that cuts across various industries and types of corporations and businesses. And so, yeah, a number of different things, again, done prior to their arrival, as well as when they're here as students.
So let's say, how about you? How does RSM, the business teams, and the recruitment team, do you see any, cultural gaps? And of course, these guys have been in the US for nearly a year now. So, any talks around that? And is that an opportunity, a challenge? How do you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll be totally honest with you, and this is just some positive feedback for you in the moment, right? As we're debriefing with our interview teams and having conversations about these interviews and how they're going, we are getting outstanding feedback that our candidates are very well prepared, that they are able to really talk about their reasoning, whether it's for the location they want, why they picked audit versus tax, why they're looking at RSM. They've done their research. They are coming to the table ready to go. And so really, we are just so incredibly impressed with what you have done with Miles Education and how you've prepared them. Brock, what Case Western is doing with them in order to continue that and make it very US focused. In terms of cultural differences, we don't really see anything like that, or haven't, I guess I should say, in this interview process. And when they come on board, for everyone who has been able to accept an offer, we will set up very specific training for them. They will be trained for 1 to 2 weeks in their line of business with their peers. So really hoping that we'll start to be able to build those relationships with their professionals, not only in their local office, but also people who are in their exact same shoes. So really being able to give them that RSM experience in order to hopefully start to bridge any of those gaps that might be there before they even come up.
Amazing, amazing. And Lindsay and Brock, again, a question for both of you in terms of analytics for accountants. Would you love to have, and Lindsay, would you love to have people in your audit team who understand audit data analytics, or how does STEM education, do you see that as improving outcomes, for the candidates when they're working at RSM, and in various roles?
Absolutely. Technology is such a huge focus for our industry nowadays, right? And so even as we're bringing in interns, we're actually just starting to wrap up our winter internship program, and we are hearing from our teams that is their number one focus when they are evaluating our people. It is their technology skills, whether it's something as simple as Excel or if it's something much more towards our audit programming that we use, right? They really need to understand the technology in order to be successful. It's not like it was way back in the day when it was just, a balance sheet and your red pencil as you were going through everything. So really having that knowledge has helped our people stay up to date in terms of what our clients need and allowing us to serve them to the best of our ability.
And Brock, how do you see? I mean, given that at CASE you have this amazing analytics track, what's the feedback that you had from employers as a whole, and how do you see the outcome of students accounting plus analytics?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. One of the things I've been in higher education now for several decades, and increasingly I keep hearing our faculty talk more and more about, I guess you could say, robot proofing candidates, right? Because we know the technology is rapidly changing the work that we do. Just look at the ChatGPT experience and that OpenAI that has just taken over the world. And there's significant changes that need to happen as the technology improves. And so, as our analytics faculty have introduced and now are continuing to revise or modify how that teaching is done, it's essentially, the candidates have the hard skills. We're not worried about them picking up those hard skills, but it's those, I hate to use the term soft skills, but it's their ability to think creatively, to solve problems, to work collaboratively, to work internationally, that makes them stand apart. And so having those hard skills, yes, can they do basic Python programming? Are they able to utilize any kind of software for visualization? Tableau, you name it. There's all kinds of softwares out there. But it's really, how do they utilize those hard skills in order to accomplish the needs that a company has in order to solve problems and work effectively and efficiently? And so that's I think where a lot of our, especially in Master of Accountancy, our faculty chair and many of our faculty have said, they're going to know accounting. That's not a Case Western Reserve University graduate of Master of Accounting or accountancy, you'll know what you're going to get in terms of those hard skills. But what we also really want to focus on are those soft skills or the ability to think creatively in order to help advance an organization.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brock. Another question is around, enrollments, for accounting at universities. So the trend that we see across the US, and these are numbers coming in from the AICPA for CPAs in the US, as well as for more than 80% of the universities who are reporting a decline in accounting enrollments, both at the master's as well as at the undergrad level. So question number one is, how is this really affecting, universities and employers? And I think, Brock, you're president of university, and we have Lindsay from the employer side. And second, do you see this as a good opportunity, in the coming years that we now have, a lot of international accounting talent, including from India, really, filling in the shoes, for the accountants. And I say this because we see a lot of techies from India who are there, across industries. We have CEOs of a lot of amazing companies like Microsoft, Google, who born in India, out of Indian origin, and have done really great. So do we see that, for accounting as well, where, the Indian accounting talent or the international accounting talent could fill in for this shortfall that we have in America? How do you see this in the medium to long term, Brock?
It's a reality. It's just a pure demographic reality that universities know that the population of high school graduates in the United States, those graduating high school, every year is expected to decline. Again, declining birth rates, have resulted in declining numbers of students seeking a university education. And then again, further declining when you look even at the advanced or post-secondary education, whether it's master's or any other education a student pursues after their bachelor's degree. And so you have less and less individuals who are being educated and trained to fill industries that are growing and dynamically changing. And so there is a need for us to try to identify ways to open up the educational offerings in order to be a bridge and prepare students from any culture and any nation that we can in order to fill the roles that are needed, not only here in the United States, but in many of these global operations that are taking place and being set up all around the world. And so it's a purely demographic shift that's happening. And you just see the trend lines versus and how that's creating demand that we need to be creatively filling with good partners, again, between education providers like Miles, ourselves here at Case Western, and then again, good industry partners like RSM.
Yes, it is a harsh reality when we're looking at that. And every year since we've started to notice those declining numbers, every year we go to campus and we see less and less and less at some of those big events, right? You think about Meet the Firms or career fairs or even, student organizations that are very accounting and business specific. The attendance where, you'd go and stand for 4 hours at a career fair and talk to 200 students, those days are gone. It's just so wild. And like I said, with my experience, it's, stepping on campus for 4 hours and only talking to 40 students who are actually qualified and interested is just mind blowing. And so I think Brock, you said it so perfectly in the sense that partnering with something like Miles Education, right, in order to find that gap for US, especially obviously with what we do in public accounting, it's so important for us. And we as a firm, we are looking at so many different avenues on how we can make sure that we are still meeting our business needs in terms of the employees that we're hiring, right? So, we think about right now, this is a program for us where we're looking at that sponsorship, at that international candidate opportunity, something we've never done before. We are working with educational requirements. How can we support students to make sure they can get to their 150 in order to be CPA eligible? What can we be doing better to wrap our arms around the candidates that are out there and who do have the passion for accounting and really just allow for that experience for them without them necessarily feeling the burden of whether it's the educational requirement, whether it's just the financial responsibility of doing a 5th year or doing that master's program. What can the firms be doing? And so those are conversations that are happening not only at my level, but Matt Kessler, our global director of campus recruiting, has those conversations all the time with other firms, with other Big Four firms, mid-market firms, really just understanding what we can be doing as an industry to better support. And, there's no right answer yet. But this is a great step for us, right? As we are looking to just kind of broaden our horizons in order to fill that gap.
Very nice. So I think, guys, unless you guys have any more questions, I think, thank you everyone for joining in this afternoon. And, at Miles, we're really, really excited, with the opportunity of, an amazing talent pool. So there's a lot of, finance and accounting work, which happens right here in India. We've got, all the public accounting firms, the Big Four, others, having huge number of accounting talent, working from India for the US offices. Most of the Fortune 500 companies have huge global capability centers in India for tech, for finance and accounting. And I think this is a great opportunity, for all these firms, for all these companies to now have talent onshore, in their US offices. Again, there's a lot of requirement of people, of accountants, of finance folks, on site, dealing with the clients, working on projects, whether it be audit or tax or, it'd be part of the CFO team. So I think there's a huge opportunity, and this is a very interesting step that we're making, and we really appreciate all of your support. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Thank you, Brock. Thank you, Lindsay, for your time and for the insights that you've provided, and really looking forward to a long and fruitful relationship. Thank you.
Thanks, Varun.
Thank you so much, Varun. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you, everyone. Have a